Hola Fede, ¿cómo estás de nuevo?
Muy bien, ¿tú qué tal? Aquí que yo estaba ansioso por saludar hoy y arranqué antes del video.
Está bien, no, está muy bien. Pues como ves, ya voy a poner la presentación bien. Ya estamos en el día 28 del elcolesigue.
Sí, exacto, cada vez que veo digo, uy, qué cantidad, ¿no? Como que inesperado, pero bueno, no, qué bien, qué bueno eso.
Sí, la verdad, sí. Y ayer tuvimos 2 sesiones súper buenas. Yo estuve ahí con Enrique Cordero y nos estaba dando muchísimos tips para una clase online. Como decía él está en Puebla, México, y decía que muchos de sus profes pues estaban súper sorprendidos, ¿no? Con el cambio de repente de cambiar su clase de presencial a en línea. Así que nos dio una presentación súper buena. Yo puse algunas cosas ahí del contenido de lo que platicó, pero platicó de esta idea de cómo hacer una clase en línea, si debe ser síncrona o asíncrona. No sé si lo estoy diciendo
Sí,
bien, ¿te
está perfecto, está perfecto. A mí,
Sí,
a mí se me dificulta en inglés esas, por ejemplo, decir como synchronous y asynchronous, no sé si está bien, pero...
está súper bien dicho. Así, sí, todos tenemos como nuestras palabras en nuestro segundo idioma, ¿no?
Sí.
Y, pero hablo mucho de cómo tenemos que estar preparados antes de una clase, poner reglas, aunque sea en línea. De hecho, Fede, eso no fue parte de su presentación, pero vi algo súper chistoso el día de ayer. ¿Te platico? ¿Sí me escuchas, Fede?
Sí, sí, yo te oigo perfecto.
Ah, ok. No, ¿cómo ves? Vi que un amigo que es maestro puso en su historia de Instagram ayer que ya los alumnos, como sabemos que son súper listos, un alumno, en lugar de poner su nombre en la llamada, puso como su pantalla en negro, como quitó la cámara y por nombre puso conectando, punto, punto, punto. Así que toda la clase pasó diciendo que tenía fallas técnicas, pero realmente estaba pasando de listo.
Claro. Pero bueno, es ahí va uno aprendiendo y dice, mira, tal. Toca ahora que el profesor se la devuelva, le haga una parecida.
Pero la verdad, yo como, pues, estaba riendo muchísimo. Dije, qué listo este niño. Pero bueno, así que habló de este cosa, como poner reglas, hablar de, porque realmente sí hay problemas técnicos que nos pasa a todos, hasta en el cole sigue, nos ha pasado bastante.
Sí, sí,
Y
sí, que tenemos fallas técnicas y eso es parte de lo que uno va como que aprendiendo, ¿no?
así es eso. Y como justo dijo eso Marilyn, que nos ha estado acompañando por varios días, pero dijo que sí, fallas técnicas sí pasan. Es como parte, es algo que está fuera de nuestras manos a veces.
Sí, sí, así es. Y yo, pues de las cosas que él comentaba, por ejemplo, uno y con profesores que uno ha podido hablar, uno se da cuenta que digamos que en realidad son las mismas ideas que la clase presencial. O sea, hay que tener unas reglas muy claras, pero de todas maneras, como es diferente la experiencia, entonces ahí se presenta que uno nunca ha tenido que le pongan el conectando y entonces uno no sabe. O sea, uno va aprendiendo porque ya uno tiene cierta experiencia presencial y ya uno sabe, están haciendo esto y yo sé que van a hacer esto y uno pues los va manejando, pero aquí uno está descubriendo cosas nuevas y también a uno de profesor le toca pues probar cosas nuevas para poder tener a los estudiantes pues activos y todo eso que comentaba
Sí,
Enrique.
sí, así es eso. Y también como acerca de este punto de hacer la clase síncrona o asíncrona, como hablamos mucho del problema, pues que algunas familias tienen, incluso nosotros a veces, que los dos niños tienen que estar conectados a la misma vez o que no tienen internet o los papás están trabajando. Así que como dijo Roberta, ella está de acuerdo que el asíncrono, si lo estoy diciendo bien, que
Sí, sí,
eso,
asíncrono.
que eso la verdad ahorita es como, pues funciona mejor para muchas familias y en muchos casos, ¿no?
Sí, sí, yo también creo que es verdad que hay que pues tener un balance. Lo otro que también he oído que está ocurriendo es que pues si pasan mucho tiempo en el computador estudiando y después además de que están encerrados pues se pasan mucho más tiempo viendo Netflix y haciendo otras actividades. Entonces como que también hay que pensar en buscar que haya un balance en todo eso.
Sí, no, tal cual. Pero sí estuvo muy bueno, así que si no vieron la sesión de Enrique, está en el canal de YouTube el día 27 del elcolesigue y va mucho más allá de lo que hablamos ahorita, pero sí estuvo muy bueno.
Sí, muy bueno. Y la verdad es que es un tema del que sería interesante ver si podemos reunir un grupito más grande de gente y que todos cuenten experiencias. Ahí.
Sí, sería súper curioso eso. Muy bien. Y después tuvimos a Diana López. No sé si tú estabas en la sesión, Fede.
Yo la vi porque a mí la verdad FED me parece que es muy interesante. Lo uso poco, lo recomiendo mucho, pero pues como no soy profesor de esa materia, lo he usado muy poquito, pero sí lo recomiendo mucho a los profesores que trabajan y que les sirven las simulaciones.
Sí, me parecía muy curioso. No estaba en vivo con ellos, pero sí vi partes de la grabación después. Y en el chat, súper activo, como muchos ya conocían los simuladores, pero habían algunos que no y tenían muy buenas preguntas. Pero como puedes ver ahí los comentarios que puse, que ya en Lima habían varios usando eso, en Campeche también, pero decía, wow, está buenísima esta herramienta.
Sí, la verdad es que yo creo que, como dice Patti García, es como cuando ella descubrió Equation. Yo creo que con mucha frecuencia los profesores le preguntan a uno por las simulaciones. Y es de las cosas que por lo general siempre digamos que te dicen, no, yo no puedo usar eso porque es que pierdo este programa de simulaciones. Entonces cuando uno les dice, no, mira, es que existe FET, y van y miran, oye, qué bueno, y pues la verdad es que también permite que los estudiantes puedan pues como que jugar con esas simulaciones y pues que realmente entiendan cosas. Es como si es un laboratorio virtual de una u otra manera que yo creo que es muy valioso por eso.
Sí, no, muy bueno. Y igual como todo está ahí para ver la grabación si todavía no lo conocen o quieren saber más. Pero eso es lo que vimos el día de ayer. Y el día de hoy tenemos dos, pues la verdad son amigos y también son muy buenos como maestros educadores. Las dos sesiones de hoy, Fede, van a estar en inglés. Mike puede ser tal vez algo de Spanglish, porque sí vive aquí en México, pero él va a estar hablando de la retroalimentación y cómo hacerlo auténtico.
Uh-huh.
Y
Pero bueno.
sí, y Susan, como su fuerte es trabajar con los niños chiquitos, va a estar hablando de Jamboard, como ya hemos visto 2-3 sesiones de Jamboard, pero en este caso va a estar enfocado para los niños chiquitos y acerca de, ¿cómo se dice? Literacy y Numeracy. En
Sí, uy, ves, está dura esa traducción, vamos a googlearlo, pero sí, es de desarrollo de lengua, pues, y de números, ¿no?
Sí, como para los niños sería como de kinder, me imagino, de como
Sí,
los primeros grados de primaria o como de kinder, ¿no?
Sí, me parece literatura de traducción, pero yo creo que es más bien como alfabetización en literatura.
Ajá, sí, sí, así es. Y no sé, Fede, como tenemos unos 2 minutos, pensé enseñarles algo que les había enseñado hace mucho, pero a ti, ¿tú usas Toby por Google Chrome?
No la uso.
Ok, pues es una extensión de Google Chrome, como ya vimos en una sesión hace 5 semanas o por ahí. Es uno que hablé rapidito de esta extensión. En esta cuenta no lo tengo, pero lo puedo agregar. Y lo que hace, como yo lo tengo en mi cuenta, mi otra cuenta de Nivela, tú puedes, como guardar tus pestañas abiertas como colecciones. Así que, por ejemplo, esos son 5 cosas que tengo guardado en mi otra cuenta y esos 5 pestañas, esos 5 páginas web, lo puedo compartir con otras personas, incluso a mis alumnos.
Oye, qué buena esa, no la conocía.
Sí. No, la verdad me encanta, nada más que no tenía chance de ponerlo bien aquí en esta cuenta de marketing, pero está genial porque es como bookmarks o marcadores.
Exacto.
Pero más sofisticado porque puedes tener muchísimas colecciones y ahí adentro de cada colección pongas tus páginas que tienes abierto para que no pierdas en lo que estás trabajando y puedes abrir los 5 pestañas a la vez cuando ya tengo la extensión.
Ya, aquí en este momento la estoy instalando.
Sí, no, está buenísima. Así que pensé, ¿qué sería algo bueno para enseñarles hoy? Como ya llevamos 28 días de aprendizaje, han sido miles de pestañas y páginas nuevas. Así que Toby for Chrome, la verdad, como no los voy a enseñar tanto el día de hoy, pero sí les animo que lo agregan porque me ayuda en mi otra cuenta a organizar todo.
Sí, la verdad es que sí está buena. Yo ya en este momento ya cogí y la estoy instalando.
Sí, está súper bueno. De hecho, estaba en el proceso de, a ver si... Ok, pues aquí se ve. Entonces, lo que pasa cuando ya tienes Toby en tu cuenta, cuando tú abres una nueva pestaña de Google Chrome, en lugar de abrir la pestaña del buscador de Google, te abre esta pestaña de Toby. Pero lo que yo puedo hacer, por ejemplo, tengo aquí, puedo agregar una colección, puedo poner elcolesigue y las pestañas que tengo abierto está súper fácil de nada más agregarlos.
Claro.
Así que cuando estoy trabajando hoy y al rato quiero entrar de nuevo, ya tengo mis pestañas abiertas, digo, guardados, y si se nota, me los quitaron aquí de arriba.
De arriba, claro.
Así que ya tengo como esta colección. Y si yo digo, Fede, ¿sabes qué? Vi una sesión genial de Mike Kauffman y hizo bla, bla, bla. Te lo puedo compartir, la colección, con todas las páginas que nos enseñó.
Qué bueno, eso está buenísimo, claro. Y ahí viene la presentación y cualquier tipo de enlace adicional.
Sí, así que pensé algo como rapidito para enseñarles, como un bonus hoy en la mañana, ¿sería eso?
No,
pero ya veo que tenemos a Mike aquí.
Ya llegó Mike. Bueno, sí, ya llegó Mike. Y yo ahorita entonces pues me salgo hoy, pero nos vemos mañana otra vez. No, mañana no vengo, el viernes.
Está bien, de todos modos, nos vemos esta semana.
Dale.
Gracias, Fede.
Ciao, Dom.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing, Fede?
Good, great, thanks.
I got my notes here writing down what I'm learning already.
Awesome.
Toby, a reminder of how awesome those simulations are.
Yeah, it was an entire 45-minute session yesterday on it, so you have to check it out.
I will.
All right, so Mike, we are excited to hear about your feedback session. Before you get started, I'm going to put a little video on, and then you want to start sharing your screen, and I think Fede is going to...
I'll be leaving then. Take care. Good luck.
All right, Mike. So I said you might be able to do a little bit of Spanglish for us.
Sí, yo hablo bien Spanglish. It's my second idioma, the second language that I speak well.
Very good. Well, if we have any questions in el chat, si hay preguntas en el chat, Mike sí entiende bien el español. Pueden preguntarle en español a ver si quiere hacer algo en Spanglish. Si no, si entendemos inglés también. Así que, pues, thank you so much, Mike, for being with us again. I'm going to go ahead and add your screen here.
Okay.
And if I see any questions while you're talking, is it okay if I interrupt you, or do you just want to take questions at the end?
No, please. Yeah, stop, interrupt. Again, I can stop and explain something in Spanish or go over something again, whatever people watching want to know.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to take myself out, but I'll be in the background.
Okay. So I guess the next 45 minutes or so are all about feedback and how to provide authentic, meaningful feedback to your students with a focus on how to do it digitally using, a variety of tools all associated around Google Classroom. So before we get into the how, let's talk a little bit about the why, right? Why do we want to focus on feedback? And really, it's the research that shows us that's an important step of the learning process. Here, I love this quote from Grant Wiggins, because he sums up a whole lot of research, by saying that, all that research shows us that teaching less and providing more feedback leads to greater learning. And I know sometimes it's that step in the learning process that maybe gets skipped because we feel this rush to move on, right? We feel like, oh, we got to go on. We don't have time to go back and fix. But really, the research shows us that we should stop, pause, give that time for feedback, give that time for students to go back in and make adjustments to work and make adjustments to their thinking. That in the end leads to more and better learning. Now, not all feedback is created equal, right? There are steps and strategies to providing quality and effective feedback. And I'm not going to talk at length about all 7 of these, but I do want to focus on a few of them, because then they're going to connect to those tech tools. So again, we can connect the why we're doing it and then the how easily in our minds. So, the first one is feedback should be goal referenced, meaning, the student should know exactly what they're learning, right? Whether it's a skill, what they should be able to do, or whether it's knowledge, and that the feedback should be related in their progress to meeting or to, mastering that goal. All right, so we're always focused on why are we doing this? What's the end product that we want to see? What's the end ability we want to see from our students? The next one is that it's tangible and transparent. And this is really where technology can really help us out. Tangible and transparent, meaning that the students really know what the feedback is and how that feedback can be used by them, right? And how that feedback relates to the goal, right? So they have a clear sense of, here's where I am in my learning, here's where I need to go, and here are maybe the steps I need to take. And that's that idea that it's tangible and transparent. The next one is that it's actionable. And when I give this presentation to teachers and when I talk to teachers about feedback, I stress this one a lot, meaning actionable, meaning that the students can then actually take that feedback and do something with it. If the students can't do anything with it, let's say it's a summative end of the unit test and you know that you're moving on the next day, right? There's no reason for you, the teacher, to kill yourself spending hours giving feedback if the students aren't going to do anything with it, right? It's a waste of your time and it's really not going to be used by them. So really the feedback is in that, that formative, during that progress of learning, in the middle of that unit, in the middle of that lesson is when you want to be giving that feedback so students then have the chance to do something with it. They can take action. Next one, user-friendly. So students have access to it. And this is, again, where technology can do wonders. We're going to talk about how to give video feedback so then students can, rewatch it and pause it and come back to it, really making it very user-friendly. And the last one that I'll mention is that it's timely, right? That it comes in a timely manner. And this is, again, where technology can help out in terms of automated feedback through Google Forms or any other online quiz software that gives immediate feedback. But then also these tricks that I'm going to show you that allows you to get feedback a little bit faster and allows you then to get feedback quicker into your students' hands so that there's not this large gap of time between when they did something and when you're actually talking to them about it. All this is referenced here in the article. It's linked, and I'm going to share this resource at the end so you can go back in and read Grant Wiggins' article at length. It's worth the read. He'll explain all these, I'm sure, better than I am. So one thing we want to be clear about is, there's a difference between feedback and grading. Feedback 100% necessary for the learning process, right? Whether you're an adult learner, whatever it is, everyone needs feedback to help them learn. Grading, on the other hand, not necessary for the learning process. It's necessary, in most of our schools, but we want to make sure that we separate the two, right? When you are giving feedback to a student, you want to remove the grade from it. You want to remove the statements that impart judgment, right? So, for example, if I'm giving back, writing assignments to students, and I have an 88 on there with then some suggestions, more often than not, the students look at the 88, right? They're either happy or they're disappointed, and they don't really look at my suggestions. Also, you have that opinionated feedback that we often give, where we say, good job, this, or hey, that wasn't so good, this. We want to remove that value statements from our feedback. All right, we just want to skip the good job and go right into what it is they did and what it is they need to work on, again, to meet that goal. So the resource that I'm going to share at the end has tutorials and tips on all these things in here, but in this 45 minutes, I'm going to focus on just 4. 1, how to use Screencastify to provide video feedback. My favorite tip, and I'm going to save it for last because I think it's really the best. How to use student responses and comment keys. So how to train your students on how to receive feedback and then interact with it, again, through the lens of Google Classroom and the other G Suite tools, docs, and slides. How to use the comment bank in Classroom, and not just the how to use it, but also how to use it specifically for feedback. So I'm going to give some tips there. And then finally, how to use rubrics with Google Classroom, but again, not as a grading tool, but more as a feedback tool, right? So a little bit of that technical how-to, but more so how to use it, again, to really focus on that feedback to improve your students' learning and mastering of those goals. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to flip over here now to a fake teacher classroom I have set up, and I'm going to go in here and start off with the comment bank example, right? So in this assignment, right, if I want to go back in and take a look and now give some feedback to my student work, right, I want to use the comment bank, all right? So the comment bank allows us to add comments that we've pre-written into it with just a few clicks of the button. So for example, if I want to make a comment on this intro sentence, I can add my comment. I'm going to use the hashtag key. And then notice what pops up here is all these examples of feedback that I've already added in to the comment bank, right? So for example, and then I can just hit enter, click comment, and now right there, right, I'm asking my student to go back in and watch maybe a tutorial video that we shared earlier on in the unit to help them fix their work. So all that information I conveyed, right, these whatever 10 words and this link are instantly added. Now, to get into that comment bank, I can click right over here. I have everything in there that I've added over, over my time as a teacher. So this is one of those things that it builds up over time. So, in the beginning, it takes a little extra time to get set up, but then once it's set up, you have it. To add to the comment bank, you can do it one at a time, or what I recommend is at the start of a unit or assignment, go in on a Google Doc and create feedback that or that you're, suspect is going to come up in that unit, right? And the first 2 examples here, again, notice I'm not adding any value statements to it. And I'm not saying, try better next time. Remember to carry this one place. I'm just telling them what the feedback is. And these first 2 examples, again, I'm providing a link to a tutorial or a website or whatever it is you would want your students to use to work on that. And this third one here, again, similar, just linking it to maybe a part of the lesson that they should go back to. In this one, laying out the different steps that I might want my student to look at when they're going back in to fix some work. So again, all this stuff to type up for each student is going to take tons of time, right? We just rather type it once, put it in that comment bank and use. Here, really simple feedback. And this actually comes from an article about flash feedback. This came out a couple of days ago that I'm also going to share out. That talked about how to provide feedback quickly. And what the author suggests here is, we don't want to do all the work for our students, right? We don't want to go in there necessarily and highlight every single common mistake they had in the paper, because then they're not learning how to find the mistakes. Instead, you just want to let them know, hey, you need to redo it, common mistakes, and then I've left that little end of it blank, and then you could always just type in the number of common mistakes they had, right? So you pop that into the comment bank, hit the number 3, and they know that they're looking for 3 common mistakes. But again, you're not telling them where they are. They have to learn how to find it. Or on the vice versa, giving them feedback that, hey, you're done. Congrats. Here again, just another example. Now, to add this all to the comment bank, I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to go over, and I'm going to paste it. And if there's a space in between, right, which is what the directions say up here, it's going to now add all of these as separate comments. Click add. Takes a second to populate. And there it is, right? So for example, going back to that comma one, right, let's say in the very beginning of this writing work, I just want to talk about commas. Go hashtag, comma. And notice that it doesn't matter where I'm typing the word from in my comment bank. I just know it's a comma. I'm going to hit return, and then I'm going to hit my little arrow key and then type in that number, right? Comment. So you could see as you're doing this, maybe you're doing 20 in a row for one class, or maybe you're doing 100 of these in a row for your full body of students. As you get into this rhythm, it's really going to save you time and allow you to do this quicker. Again, allowing you to provide timely feedback. And that's it. Now, I'm going to click return, and I'm going to go now over to the student view, and I'm going to talk a little bit then about how to train your students to interact with your feedback. Sorry, here now is my student view. They can pop into their classwork, go to that assignment right there, and open it up. All right. And then in here, right, the comments that I just left are right there. Now, one thing we want to teach our students here is to respond, right, to the feedback in the comments, but do not resolve, right? Again, train your students from the beginning. Do not ever hit resolve. And the reason why is you've got 20 students, 50 students, 100 students. You're not going to remember all the feedback that you gave, right? So if they click resolve, you're going to have to go back in and you're going to have to remember, well, what did they do? Where is this? So instead, what you want to do is teach them to reply to it. And you can, again, teach them to be very specific and thoughtful on this. To say something like, I fixed the list comma in paragraph 1. I fixed the blank comma and whatever it is. Get them to explain what they did in the comment. And then when you go back in to recheck it, you don't have to go back in and look at their work. You'll be able to look at their comment and then know whether they understand or not, right? You're making them now more cognate thinkers, right? You're getting them to think about themselves as learners or as writers in this case and how they use commas. And then they just click reply and they leave it open. Right, and the same thing here, right? Let's say it was a bigger fix, right? They watch the video. Again, they're not going to click resolve. They're going to click on it and say, I added more powerful verbs to my opening sentence, blah, 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 blah. Right, again, train your students on how to respond to this so that they're thinking actively about it. Click reply. And then, right, when you go back in, now this is, again, my teacher view. You go back in there, I can see them, my students, and then from right there, I can say, cool, they understand it, and move on. Does this take a little time in the beginning? Yes, right? But again, going back to Grant Wiggins' summary of research, the more time we spend on feedback, the more learning that happens. And again, as we get better at this, as we build this into our routines and how we train our students to build this into their routines, it will become faster and easier, and you will see, right, student learning improve. All right, so that's the comment bank tip right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and talk about a different one, which is now using rubrics for feedback. So a relatively new tool in Google Classroom. I'm sure that the tool has been covered in these webinars here. Awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, there was a quick question on the comment banks before you move on. Ana Luisa is asking, is the comment bank, is it saved in a special folder in Drive? Do you have to have a Google Doc open to see your comments?
That's a great question. I don't know if you can actually help me out on that, Dominique. As far as I know, they live in this magical comment bank feature here, either through Classroom or through the work mode in Google Docs.
Yeah, right? That's what I think too, Mike. While you move on, I can research that so I can answer Ana Luisa. Yeah.
As far as I know, they just live there magically. They do save, in this place right here, and you have access then to them anywhere in Classroom. So it is one of those things that does compile over time. So you as a teacher don't have to worry about losing them, or I've never even asked myself where do they actually live, because they're always just magically there. So I would love an answer on that.
Okay. And then Maria del Rosario, she's saying, I think they just show up when you're grading. Can you show them how to find the comment bank again?
Yep. So again, I'm in Google Classroom. I'm going to go to the assignment, and I can either view assignment, I can go right into my student work. And when I open up then my student work, Yeah, so this is the grading, view from Classroom, and they're located right there, right? That's the comment bank. All right. Now the question would be though, right? If I pop into a regular Google Doc, yeah, it does not come up, right? So if I'm in a regular Google Doc, that comment bank is not there. It is just a feature there located within the grading feature of Classroom.
Classroom.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
And again, you can access them right there, add more of them. You can always edit or delete, copy to clipboard, right? So you've got some options in there, but they live in Classroom right there in a comment bank feature inside the grading view when you're looking at student assignments.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then Felipe is just adding, he's saying, like automating, I guess, the assessment comments would be wonderful. So I guess, that's what we're doing essentially through Google Classroom, but maybe eventually we'll have them in normal Google Docs too. I don't know. But
yeah, and I know Google Docs has, they've got that sort of grading feature that's not associated with Classroom, right, that to be honest, I've never used because I've always had access to Classroom as the main learning management system that I've used. But I know Google, I think, is working on that sort of side piece on how to, support teachers who aren't necessarily on Classroom, but that are assigning work through, docs or slides and so forth.
This is off topic. I don't know if you're going to talk about this. Have you used WriteQ?
I have not, no.
Okay, so that's an extension that Read and Write has created, or that Text Help has created. And it's specifically for grading and giving feedback and doing rubrics on writing. And you don't need Google Classroom for it, but it's sort of still in beta. They haven't, but that might be an option that I can recommend to people, and then you can look at it later. But I'll let you continue so we don't get completely off track.
All right. So I'm not taking it again at rubrics through Classroom. And in this case, again, focusing on rubrics on, how it looks in the view of feedback, and not just for grading, right? So I'm opening up my student work, and I've attached a rubric already, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second, right? And the rubric is right over here, again, in that grading view from Google Classroom. Right here is an essay that my student handed in, and then right there, with just a click of the button, now I can then give that feedback that I gave to the comment bank by just clicking on whichever one it is. Now, if I clicked on this drawdown arrow, I could see my two options. Right. So again, in this example, I'm telling my students they've made a couple common mistakes, and then here's a video on how they can then go back and fix them, or all commas are used correctly. And then I can then move on to the next student. Right. So from there, again, as you're getting into this rhythm and you know which one's which, all commas are used correctly or not, you can just click on there, move on to the next student. Right. Click on it, read the work, move on to the next student. Click on it, move on to the next student, right? So you can see how this is now even saving more time. And again, not grading, right? The rubric that I set up was purely based on feedback, right? Offering suggestions and providing resources for students to make improvements on their work. This also can be used well, for example, in math, right? So again, I'm going to open up this math assignment in Google Classroom. I'm going to open up my student A's work. And in here, right, I've created a rubric. Actually, maybe let's take a look at that rubric for a second. Right, so here's a rubric that I created for a math assignment that students might hand in. And I broke it down into 3 things that, again, have nothing to do with grades and everything to do with actual feedback. The first is the process, right? I want to make sure that my students are following the process. In this example, I used long division, right? And the options are yes, right, or yes, the process was done correctly, or the process is incomplete, or is out of order, because these are the typical things that you're going to see from students. I also have one that talks about the correct answer, correctly solved, and then here are 2 different types of mistakes that we see with students, right? Maybe it was a process error. They didn't understand how to do the long division, therefore they ended up with the wrong answer. Or maybe they just made a math mistake. The process was perfect, they just added or subtracted incorrectly. And those are 2 important distinctions to be able to make with your students, right? Hey, you're on the right track, just be more careful next time. Or hey, you are having some trouble here understanding, let's go back in and start again, or let's go back in and fix really the process of it. And then taking it one step farther, specifically again for math, is, what is their attention to detail? And again, giving them 2 pieces of feedback. 1, great attention to detail, it was neat, it was a line, it was correctly written. or they made a mistake. Now, in all of these, what I've done here is I just haven't pointed out the mistakes they've made, right? I've then given them the next steps, and I've made this feedback actionable. So, for example, here, right, they made a math mistake. I want them to find, circle, comment, and then resubmit, right? So again, I just said to them, hey, you made a math mistake. As a learner, you need to go back in there and find that math mistake, circle it for me, or circle it for yourself, but circle it so that I can see that you found it, comment on it, and then resubmit. So when I go back in to regrade or relook at student work, I don't have to go back in there and rethink about and try to remember what the problem the student had is. In their comment, I'll learn, yes, right, they understood it, they commented, they found the mistake, and they fixed it. And that's the case for the attention to detail as well as the process, right? So again, in the feedback, I'm trying to make it actionable. So let's go back then. Here's student work, an example of how to use Classroom for, non-digital assignments, right? A student can simply, do their work on the paper, take a picture, and add it to Classroom. And then from here, right, I could always highlight, and I can always add in comments over highlighting, whatever it is, so forth. And then again, I can go into my rubric and say process was done correctly, the correct answer, there's math mistake, and it was one of these things, right? And there, with just 3 clicks, I've given detailed feedback that's actionable to my student. I move on to the next one, right? Okay, very good, whatever it is. Process was out of order, correct answer was wrong because process was wrong, but they had good attention to detail. There we go, 3 clicks. I'm gonna then move on to the next student, whatever, and return it, okay? So again, using rubrics here in a slightly different way. And then let's pop over to the student view just so you can see what then it looks like from a student's perspective, right? So they can open up their assignment, math feedback, right? And then right here, they can see the assignment. Oh, they didn't leave a comment. And it's just taking a second here to load up. Okay, so there it is, right? Took a second to load. And then here is the feedback that I gave through the rubric. The student can then expand it, and they can say, okay, good, I did my process correctly. Oh, but my final answer wasn't correct. I made a math mistake, okay. And my teacher's letting me know that there was a mistake right in there. So now let me go back into my work. And then again, right in here, right, they can go back into their hand, they can circle it, write the comments on, take a picture, and then resubmit it. Right, and then this is the other student's view. And again, looks very much the same. View their assignment, and again, they can see their rubric and expand it. So again, taking some training from the student's point, teaching them how to do this, right? Teaching them how to be a student and how to work with feedback. You're gonna need to do it, right? That time's gonna have to be spent, but again, it's gonna lead to better learning. All right, so now let's take a look then. Here is, pop back to Classroom. Let's talk about setting up then a rubric for this. So go back here to my test class. If I want to then add a rubric, for example, I can open up my assignment. I'm gonna go in here and actually I'm gonna edit it. And in here now I can click plus and I can add my rubric. Now I can reuse one. So again, this is a nice thing that you're gonna have these math assignments, right? Some of those things are gonna stay the same, right? The bottom 2 categories of, was the correct answer there? Was, were they working, neatly? That's gonna stay the same. And then all you have to do is reuse it and then edit the rubric to make adjustments to whatever skill they're working on. But if we wanna create one from scratch, first thing we wanna do is, because it's feedback, again, we wanna remove the grade from it. We wanna turn off the scoring, all right? Very important. And then, for example, right, we can do something with word choice, give the description or word use. Maybe you wanted your students to focus on a writing assignment using vocabulary words. So use the following vocabulary, and then you could list out the words, right? Right, et cetera, right? And then here again, creating some different criteria, right? So use all correctly and give it a little description. Each word was used, etc. maybe add on a second criteria, which, let's say they used, 5 out of the 7 correctly. And then here again, you want to then make it actionable. Go back and circle the 2 words not used correctly. Rewrite, etc. Right? Give them the action. What do they need to do to show that they have now learned the skill or learned the concept or whatever it is? All right, so you could spend a little more time there setting that feedback up through there. When you're done, click Save, and then it's going to be then attached to the assignment. All right, and then if I want to then go into my student work, again, getting in there to the work view, there's the rubric right there. I can now go in and give feedback on students' use of vocabulary word. Just taking a second here to. Another great sort of trick here to save time is for something like vocabulary words, you can use the Command F or the Control F, the find feature, and you can then search the word, right? And in this case, it'll highlight then the word, so you don't have to go through and necessarily read the full page. You can just go there by word and find it, and then sort of get to that word quicker. This also works for commas or exclamation points or whatever it is that you might be looking for in student work. You can use that Command F feature to make it faster. There's the rubric attached to it. Again, choose whatever it is, hit return or not, move on to my next student. All right, Dominic, I'm gonna move on, no questions?
Nope, we're good in this little section. So thanks, Mike.
Okay. The next tip, and again, this is my favorite because I think this is really where you can put all these tools together and really hit all of those important keys to quality feedback, and that's creating video feedback for student work. So here I have my student assignment. Right, I've had all 5 students turn in their work. And I'm going to go now in and take a look at it. Again, I'm not grading it. My grading is a separate step, right? This is feedback. This is during the learning process when students are going to take action, use this feedback to master their learning goal. In this case, I have an essay. Now, instead of just typing feedback, right? Instead of using the rubric, I can now use all of that and add on video by using Screencastify. So I'm going to click, I've added Screencastify already to Chrome. I've got a video showing you how to do that if you're not sure. Right there, I'm going to click record. It's going to ask me what I want to do. I'm going to choose my whole screen, click share. It's going to count me in. All right, so now my video is recording. I got myself in the bottom corner. It's really nice for students to be able to see my face, to see my body language. And now I can go in and give live give feedback as I'm going through it. All right, so again, I can pop in there, say, all right, this topic sentence, you want to make sure that you whatever, add in that comment, etc. Go in, continue to look, use the vocabulary. So there we go, comma, whatever it is you're saying. Nice job, right? Redo commas there. I can go in there and then talk a little bit about private comments, or I can type in the rubric. And then I'm going to click stop sharing. Oop, did I click the other one, stop sharing? Oh no, I think I stopped sharing.
You stopped sharing your screen for a second.
Oh no, let's try that again.
No worries.
Am I back?
Yes.
Okay, so the intention there was to click the stop sharing on Screencastify and on the webinar, but I did that when the screen was off. Now this is the video feedback that you're seeing that I created there. And then all I have to do is click shareable, get shareable link. It's copied to my clipboard. I can go back into Classroom, paste that link right into the private comments, and then return it to my student, and now move on to my next one. So again, right, same idea. In this case, student B submitted Google Slides as their work. Again, I can go in there and give live feedback. I can start my Screencastify video, open it up, click record, click share. It's going to count me in. And I'm going to give feedback to my student. All right, I can see student B, you didn't have time to get any work done, whatever it is. You can go in there again, adding in comments to my student work as I'm giving them the video feedback. And now I'm going to click stop sharing my Screencastify. And it's going to open up in a separate tab. Click copy shareable link and close that out. Go back in there, paste it into my private comments, click post, and I return, and then I can move on to the next student. So you can see this workflow, right? It's a few clicks for sure, but it's not that heavy of a workflow. I don't have to wait for my video to process. I don't have to rewatch it. In this example, students submitted an image. So again, I can pop in there, start my video feedback, click record, share. This will be the last example I'll give because I'm sure you get the point at this point. All right, nice job. Student C, your layout is well balanced. Over here, the color of this orange, right? And again, maybe I'm going to add in a comment, highlight over there, add in a comment from my comment bank, whatever it is I'm going to do. Talk about it, your layout, blah, 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 blah. And then again, stop share. Copy that link. Pop over there back in the classroom and paste it and post it and return it, right? So now let's flip over to that student view so you can see, what it then looks like from students. So if they go into that assignment, right there in their private comment, right, they've now got the video that I created. All they do is click and open it up. Right, so now, again, they get to them feedback. They get to see my face in the video. They get to hear my voice. They get to hear this detailed, actionable, tangible, right, goal-oriented feedback right from my mouth. And what I love about this, too, is they can then pause and fix and rewatch, pause. Maybe they get distracted and they have to go eat a snack or whatever it is. They can come back to the video. So right now what I've done is I've created this, right, really high quality feedback that's very actionable, almost like a one-on-one conference with students where they get my personal attention. With this current situation where we're all teaching, or most of us around the world are teaching digitally from afar, this is a great way still to provide that face-to-face feedback, but this is still a great tool when you do have live classes in front of you. For example, when I was teaching middle school social studies, I wouldn't necessarily have time to go through 20 students, right, and do this. But what I could do is, have a work day, right, where we knew that day students are going to be going back in and, right, working on whatever it is they're doing. And I might then spend the time to do 10 of these videos for students. And for those 10 students, hey, when we get to class today, you're going back to that video feedback, you're going in and making adjustments. While those 10 students are doing that, I might then call students up to my desk and have one-on-one conferences. And then in an hour class, I could hit, right, a full class of students with face-to-face feedback. Half the class digitally through Screencastify videos, the other half of the class face-to-face. And you know which students might need what, right? You know that student, which a video like this is enough for them to take it, run, and really apply the feedback to their learning. And you know there's other students that just need that face-to-face with you sitting right next to them. But this, again, frees up time and really allows you to be able to do, again, quality feedback that's timely and all that stuff. And way more powerful than writing on student work, way more powerful than just the comment bank alone or the rubric alone. All right. Now, one more thing added onto this, especially powerful in digital work is, again, from my student view here, student A, they watch the video, all right, and they can then go back to their classroom assignment. And then what you can do is you can then also have them install Screencastify. They can then go in and they can now create a video talking back to you, right, and talking about the changes that they made, right? So again, as the student, I'm now going to go open up my Screencast video, open up my Screencastify, right? I'm going to click on webcam or not. So again, if the student doesn't want to be shown, you can choose not to.
Hey, Mike.
Forward. Yep.
Sorry, I know you're about to record. We just have a quick question. a couple of people have said, wow, this video option is great. And then we have a question from Ana Luisa again, just saying, how would the students respond to a video if they have questions or doubts about it? Would they record a video response? Would they write to it? What would a student do?
Yeah, so that's exactly where I am right now. And this depends on, you as a teacher, what you want, right? They could go back in and write back a private comment. I was able to fix this, but I don't understand, blah, 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 right? They can write back the comment. They could, say, hey, can I see you in class tomorrow and ask you about this in this digital world? Hey, can we have a Zoom meeting? Or again, another option is to then start a video dialogue, right? So now I'm still in my student view. They've watched the video of my teacher feedback. They see the comments there as well, right? So I've got that sort of two modes of communication going on. Mm-hmm. And they can go in there and they can record a feedback back to me, the teacher, right? And it could look different depending on where they are, right? They click share the screen, it counts them in. And they might say, okay, thank you, Mr. Kauffman, or not thank you, depending on how I'm feeling as a student. I went in and I fixed my topic sentence. And again, training them to use the comments. I added more specific, whatever it is they did. They click reply, and then they might say, but Mr. Kauffman, I'm pretty sure I used the word inhabitants correctly. This is what I meant by it. Does that make sense? Or I don't understand what you mean by that type of comma, Mr. Kauffman. Whatever it is, and then they click stop sharing. And again, the process looks the same for them. That video is going to pop up. They're going to click copy shareable link. They're going to go back into that private comment, and they can then paste it right there and send it off, and then back to now the teacher view. I think that was student A, right? Back to the teacher view in the private comment. Right there now is student A responding back, right, with their video. And then I can watch that video and again have this sort of video dialogue with my students. Now, to be completely honest, right, is that the best way to necessarily clear up misunderstandings? Probably not. Right? That's probably going to need some live, either face-to-face if we're back in the classroom, or live through Zoom or through Google Meet. But training them to create these videos, explaining the changes that they made, or explaining any of their doubts, gives you tremendous insight as a teacher, right? It gets you into their thinking. And again, training your students on how to do this, to say, hey, I want you to mention these things when responding to my feedback. I want you to mention specifically, what you did differently, or how it is, or what you understood or what you didn't. And what's coming out of that, right, in addition to learning the specific skill, is again, you're training your students to become thoughtful, reflective learners, right? Which in this day and age are more important than any specific skill probably that we're giving them as, 7th grade math teacher, or as a 5th grade, science teacher, right? The skill to actually be a reflective learner will happen. And I guarantee that in the beginning, it's going to be a challenge, and it might be sloppy and a little bit of a headache. But I guarantee if you stick with it throughout the year, your students will get good at this, right? They will get at this routine, and they will become, right, quality responders to your feedback, and they will become more receptive, and it'll become actionable, and all these wonderful things that the research shows us will come into place with time. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think you said it well.
Now, I do want to take a minute. That's it for the new information, but I want to go back here to some resources. And this bit.ly right here brings you to a Google site, which I already have open. And in this Google site, I essentially have tutorials and information on everything that I covered, plus more. Just want to spend a minute giving you a tour of it, because I know sometimes if you don't see the resource, you might not go to it. But I do want to really encourage people to go to this resource. I've got a video here recapping everything I just talked about. You've heard it, you can skip it. But then each of these pages will give you then a tutorial on how to do it. Right, so this is about a 6-minute video showing you exactly how to set up the Screencastify, how to add the Chrome extension, how to do the video feedback, right, step by step. This one is all about how to use Google rubrics, how to add rubrics, how to grade using rubrics. So again, short tutorials, so that way if you forgot how to do it, you can go back and watch. How to set up the comment bank. And again, same thing, video there showing you how to do it. Kaizena, I didn't have time to show it, but an awesome tool that gives audio feedback. This is something that if you're not using Google Classroom, is an awesome tool to explore. Has all those built-in features that Classroom has, rubrics, sort of canned comments, feedback, links, and then the ability to give audio feedback directly in a Google Doc or any other Google product, as well as PDFs and so forth. So an awesome tool. And this video will show you how to do it from start to finish. And then just a couple other resources there, different tricks for those of you, maybe your students who don't have access to regular tech, right? How to still take advantage of some of these tools without it, and so forth, right? So again, this is this bit.ly link right here, bit.ly/better feedback with G Suite, capital B, capital F, capital W, G, and S. And then I have right here, as well as a link to the flash feedback article I quickly referenced from the Cult of Pedagogy blog. Awesome blog resource, a really cool article that just came out again a few days ago, so timely for this session, and I enjoyed reading it, and I think you will too.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. And I just put your link in the chat so that everybody can find it there. We also, Ana Luisa, Marilyn, Marlene, Maria, we've had several people just kind of commenting, saying hi, saying thank you. We also have George Barcenas is here with us. We didn't even know he was there. He just said hi. Ana Maria. And then, yeah, Maria's just talking about Kaizena. I don't even know how to say that right. But yeah, that's a great tool too for feedback with the voice comments and everything. So yeah, so this is great. Thank you so much, Mike. And we appreciate having you with us. If you want to stick around and just say hi to Susan. Susan's here. She's our next presenter.
Nice. Another person to meet. Yes, I do want to stick around for a minute.
Awesome. Good morning, Susan. Hi. You're on mute right now. It's okay. So Susan, there. So Susan's joining us from California, and I don't know if you've seen any of her presentations yet, Mike, but she's an expert on all things with like early learners.
Nice. You early teachers are, I'm in awe of the miracle that you pull off every day teaching young ones.
It is a special breed, us kindergarten type people, but takes a certain kind of person. Everyone has their strengths, but the elementary world, especially the primary world, K1, 2, are like, who would have ever thought we would be teaching kindergarten on the computer, right? But I'm in awe of the teachers and what they're doing as well. So many teachers are creating and sharing and bringing it, putting on the silly hats, connecting with their kids. So it's been wonderful to see how teachers have all teachers, but even the primary teachers are showing up for their kids right now. So
for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mike. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see when we get to see each other again in Guadalajara.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dominic. Nice meeting you, Susan.
Okay. See you later, Mike. All right, Susan, I'm going to go ahead and put a little video clip in. And then if you want to start sharing your screen, we'll go ahead and get started.
Awesome.
Great. Well, good morning, Susan. As I gave you a little introduction this morning in Spanish, and I just wanted people to know that if they have questions in Spanish or English, like during the session, please feel free to ask them. Si tienen preguntas o dudas durante la sesión de Susan, por favor, pregúntanos en el chat y nosotros podemos traducir las preguntas. But I see you have George is here, and he said he was joining for the session.
Yeah, absolutely. I have George showed up, and then my friend Ruthie Sloan, who's an amazing Canadian educator, showed up because we're going to be doing some interactive things here today, Dominique, and I shared this to you as well. And I really wanted to make sure that we had some opportunities to show that interactivity. And, with our audience right now, it might be a little bit challenging, unfortunately, to bring the audience into the interactivity, but we want to be able to model how you and I and George and Ruthie from Mexico and California and Canada can all be working in the same space. So that's why I've got some friends here to help along. But today we're talking about Jamboard. And Dominique, I'll say this is probably my new favorite tool during this time, right? This is the tool that has just sprung up for especially my primary teachers. So just a quick little bit of background about what Jamboard is. This is a digital interactive whiteboard. And I'm very curious because I was talking to some friends last night about ¿cómo se dice whiteboard in español?
You would say pizarrón.
Picarón. Because there was a pizarra or pizarrón was going back and forth. So we were just trying to figure out how would you say that? So pizarrón. Okay. Very cool.
It's the same word for whiteboard as it is for chalkboard. So there might be some people in the chat from Colombia or from Spain that have a different word. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So we were just curious like what that is. But yeah, so this is an interactive whiteboard and it's by Google. So it's part of the Google suite. What's nice about that is that kids don't need another account. They're not signing up for one thing. And if you didn't know it, Jamboard oftentimes is right inside your Google Drive. You go to the place where you'll get a new doc or a new form, and oftentimes it's right there. You can also find Jamboard just at jamboard.google.com. So today we're going to take a look at Jamboard through the lens of the primary learners. We're going to talk about early literacy and early numeracy. So really like that pre-K, K1, 2 perspective of how we might use this digital interactive whiteboard by Google. There's some contact information, but I'm going to go ahead and get rolling. Just a tour of this screen. You see at the top, there's this tiny thing here. I'll see if I can zoom in on it. That is the frames. So if you're familiar with Google Slides, you understand that those are often listed down along this side here. But in Jamboard, the pages or the frames are across the top. So I can see that this Jamboard has 18 frames. And I'm going to progress through the Jamboard today, just showing you a few examples. And we'll show how the interactivity works in Jamboard as well. Jamboards can be shared just like any other Google document. I could share it directly to an individual. So I can see up here in my upper right-hand corner, I see I've got some friends here, like Dominique is in there, and George is in there, and Ruthie is in there. Everyone is in there checking out this Jamboard. I can also see that it has the same sharing button that I'm used to with Google. I can share with a link, and I can share directly. So Jamboards can be used with your learners. So when we're talking about online learning, there's two words to kind of be familiar with, and that's synchronous. That's what we're doing right now. We're in the same place. I've got George and Dominique who will be working with me synchronously in a single Jamboard at the same time. We can also use Jamboard asynchronously with Google Classroom. If you're familiar with the sharing features of Google Classroom, you understand that if I could take a single document, like a Google Doc or a Google Slide, and the nature of Google Classroom allows me to take my one and distribute a different copy to each student. So one like Blackline or master, and I can hand it out to my students using Google Classroom. Well, Jamboard works that way too. I can take a single Jamboard that I design activity and send it out to my learners that way. So we're going to talk about Jamboard both in an asynchronous setting. That's what we're where we hand it out to the kids. And then right now we're going to look at it synchronously with learners. And I also want to talk about where Jamboard came from my teachers. And that was from this. Wouldn't it be nice when you're teaching online if you had a big empty slate on which you could write? My teachers were struggling because they would want to model writing or show something to them. And sometimes they get a piece of paper and like, okay, boys and girls, can you see what's here? Everyone, is it like, that's kind of what happens, right? They're trying to hold things up, bring it closer to the camera. Is it reversed? What's going on? We were really struggling with how we could write. So some parents would, or teachers would get like whiteboards and place it behind them, different ways. So Jamboard solved the problem of being able to write online. So it is very much a, digital interactive whiteboard. At the base level, you see I have some pen tools, some colors, not a lot of options or buttons here. And that's what's beautiful about Jamboard is that I can write some letters. And, if you teach the primary grades, you know that I can show a letter B, but the actual formation of letters, having kids watch you as you write them is huge. Now, I just tried to do that with my touchpad, so I'm doing it kind of like on the computer. But the cool thing about Jamboard is I can join in other places, and I'm going to join the same Jamboard. I have that Jamboard open on my iPad because it's an app I can also download. So Jamboard works in Google Chrome traditionally, but I also have the ability to download as an app to my phone or a small mobile device, or if I have a touchscreen computer, I have this really great ViewSonic touchscreen computer where I can actually touch right on the screen. So depending on what you have, even just downloading Jamboard to your phone helps with this. So just at a base level, I can write. So I'm going to use my pen on my iPad. So I'm on a second device here, and I have and here I got George is saying, hola, hello, George. George is interacting with us. So George is in a different place, and Ruthie's there too, and they can write right on my Jamboard. So it's kind of like with kids, you put a whiteboard in front of them. I just handed Ruthie and George a pen to my whiteboard, but I could also do things like write a sentence like, I see friends. And again, we know if we teach the early grades that modeling this is huge. Now I can also grab a highlighter. So I have a highlighter tool that allows me to maybe highlight my high frequency words or my sight words. Or if I wanted at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add an extra page because we're having so much fun here. I'm going to add a blank page, and I'm going to move over to the blank page. Here I am on my blank page. I want to model writing a sentence. And again, my friends are writing all over this board because I gave them pens. There's a layer of classroom management. But what I love is that when I'm on that page, I could actually see who's writing what. As they're when they click, I could see George's little icon there. It's very tiny, but I know that icon is George, so I could see what George is up to. But if I'm trying to do a lesson on phonics and I want to say spell a word, so I have my word, and my word is, let's see here. I'm going to write bat. B-A. Okay, so I'm doing my letters, and I might have them watching me form that. I also have a laser pointer, so I could say, okay, boys and girls, will you sound out the word with me? B-A. Okay, let's put it together. Say the whole thing. Bat. So it's a really great way for me to model and share and show writing live. If I want to write a sentence or circle things, I can do that with Jamboard. So that's just at the base level. We have a whiteboard tool, but wait, there's so much more. I'm going to move over to slide 5. Slide 5. And here in a couple of minutes, my friends will be joining us. But here I have some pre-made activities. So this is a phonics activity. We want to talk about a word family, the IG words. So using Jamboard, I have a couple additional features here where I used what we call the sticky tabs. You're going to see some different use of the sticky tabs in a moment, but for now I'm going to be on slide 5, and my friends will be joining us soon, and I'm going to go spell my first word. And my first word I have here, I'm going to go B-I-G. So the same thing I just did with the pen, I can do with these pre-made word cards. How did I make those? Just with the sticky tab. I'll show you how in just a minute. So I have some letters, and I did that here. And I can actually use my pointer again. I'm going to use my laser pointer and go B-I-G. Say the whole thing. Big. And I see Dominique's live in there, and I say, hey, Dominique, will you build the next word for us? And she could go over there and spell the next word. So since, now we're practicing some classroom management, I called on her and I had her come over and do the next word. And then I could call on another friend, or I could call on another friend, and we could build our words together. So in this example, I actually pre-created the phonics lesson, and we were able to interact. I'm in California. Dominique is in Mexico. Ruthie and George are in other parts. We got Ruthie from Canada. We are working synchronously and collaboratively in this white space. So how cool is this that my students can do that? There's some questions start coming up right now. People say, what if they delete it? Can they write whatever they want? So there are a lot of really, big questions here. Yes, right now, George could be a turkey and he could go in and delete my piggy. But I do, instead of, getting upset, we can use that as an opportunity. Hey, George, let's learn about the undo button, and we can teach them how to bring those things back. So there are some things there, right, where, oh, there he goes. He went and deleted my piggy. But I could teach him to hit that little, on the upper left-hand corner, there's a little button, and it's called the undo button. So I could teach George to undo his mistake and put that piggy back, or I could just add it back in. Teaching kids, getting them familiar. The first couple times you go into this, you may want to just be silly and let them move things and delete things and add things. Empower them with the ability to fix it if they break it. And that's just a really great way to get started. We're going to continue on. I'm going to go back up to my page menu. Remember, all my frames are across the top, and you can see here that I can slide and navigate. Oh, George, you are a turkey. Did I look at that? He gobble, George. So you can see I can change between and navigate there. And I also noticed here across the top, I see that I have my different users that are along. And so I could actually see who's on which page. I could see that all of these students are where I asked them to be, but it looks like I've got another version. Oh, there we go. So I can see, let me zoom in on that. When I'm logged into people I know, I can see their actual user icons. So if these were your students, you'd be able to see where they are and you could see what page they were on. Now, when I do this anonymously with people, meaning if I just share a link, these are just some of those little anonymous critters, but because these are my friends, I could say, hey, Ruthie, get back over here, right? They could be on the different pages with me. So how fun. On frame 6, I'm now going to model how I made this activity, right? So I'm going to talk about how I made this activity. I think the question that just came in the chat says something about how many, if that is how many pages, the pages is how many pages is 20 and how many participants is 50. But can you, I see that was a good question.
Yeah. So Ana Luisa is asking, when you share a Jamboard with all of your students, can you block a student if you needed to?
So one thing I can do, not a particular student, I can change the sharing settings. So just some background. Right now, this one is shared directly to a handful of individuals. I shared it directly to them. And I shared it to them in a way that they could edit. So if you're familiar with the sharing settings, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. I don't want to show off my friends' email addresses, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of that right away. I can share directly with people here. And in that example, I shared directly with them. And I typed in their names, and they have edit rights. But I also say that anyone who has the link with this, I could decide that anyone with the link can be an editor or anyone with the link is a viewer. So if I just want to demonstrate this, they can watch it. So in this example, it says anyone with the link. So some people I gave access directly and they have edit rights. And I can decide a link, I could give it to them in a way that they could view or edit. So if I wanted to share this with kids just as a model so they could watch, I can give it that view. We'll talk a little bit more about how we can share this as we continue on. But yeah, so we can share it either way. We can either do it so they can view or so they can edit. I want to build, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Susan, there was one other question a little bit earlier. Someone was asking, will you share the Jamboard with everybody or are you just demoing it with a few?
This one right now, I would definitely be able to, I can put, before we skedoodle, I will, if you want to wrap up at the end, I'll give a forced copy link. So if anyone wants this as a model, they can click on the link we offer and it will make their own copy of it.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. And then while I was asking that, 2 other questions came in. Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Lydia is asking us, is the only way to connect my students to Jamboard having a Gmail account?
So yeah, students do have to be logged in to access this Jamboard. And if I'm incorrect in that statement, please someone correct me, but I'm fairly certain we tried it. Like if I could just give it to them anonymously and could they do it? I do believe that they had to be. So if I tried to open up an incognito window, I don't believe I could connect to it. It forces me to log into a Google account. So that is one thing. It is, it's a Google tool and it does require that. So
okay. And then one other question from Eliana. She's saying, can the student use their mouse to write or can they also use a keyboard in some instances?
So they can either use the touchpad on a laptop or the mouse. So I use this, in this example, this is my mouse moving. I can also use my touchpad on my thing. The keyboard doesn't write. The keyboard does not write, right? So I have to have, and the text in this is even interesting. Like I have to use the sticky tab. I'll actually model that next.
Okay, perfect.
The sticky tab to type, but as far as the drag and drop, there has to be some element of touch. So so I'm going to build an @word activity, much like we just did that pig activity. I'm going to do one with @words. So I'm going to say build your @words. So a second ago we did a word family activity with big words, and this time we're going to do @words. I can build my sticky, and I notice that there's different colors I can choose here. So if I wanted to make this one blue. And some people ask now about font and sizes. There's this box right here that, or this line, and this tells me how much space I have left. Let me just push a bunch of letters here. I can just push a bunch of letters, and you can see it does limit the number of characters. So the more letters I push, that little indicator at the bottom tells me how much I can type. So there's a limit to how much you could fit in a sticky. And when I put it in here, let me go ahead and save it. I can't really change the font size, but what I can do is resize this sticky. When I select it, it gets a number of tools. I can rotate it, And I can resize by grabbing a corner. So when I create things, the text is always going to be on a sticky. Now, one thing to know is that when I go to edit this, you see in the top corner, I have my ... menu. I can edit it. And when I edit it, I can make this sticky transparent. So if I wanted the words to just be on the page and not on a sticky, I can also, so the sticky is still there. You can see it's still there, but I can also make it transparent. So here are my instructions. And now I want to insert a kitty cat because remember, I want to do this as an @word thing. So one thing I can do, and here's the menu of Jamboard. It's quite simple, and I like it. There aren't too many buttons to push. When you're talking about young learners, not having a lot of extra buttons is pretty handy. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to insert an image here for whatever reason I want to do it. So I'll use the image tool, and I have the typical choices. I could bring an image from my computer. So if I've taken an image or have an image, I can select it from my computer. I can also do a Google image search, grab things from my Google Drive, or if I'm using photos, I can grab it there. I'm going to do a Google image search. I like this because it brings up resources. I'm going to put in cat. When I search here, I'm going to actually do clip art. I like that term clip art or cartoon, so it's a kind of a fun kid looking one. And I actually add the word PNG or the term PNG, and that's a little bit extra. The reason why I do that, sometimes you want something that is cut out, right? A transparent image doesn't have a background. So I could keep it just at cat clip art, but I'm going to go ahead and add PNG because that's a little tip. If I want just things that are cut out, when I look at my search results, I see that they're more cartoon looking images. I notice that they don't always have backgrounds. So I'll select this kitty and put it in here. And when I put it in, remember, it's transparent. There isn't a box around it that, it is cut out or transparent. So I've started my activity and I have my cat and I have my instructions. And now I want to make those letter tiles. Remember how in the pig example, there was all the letter tiles. So I'll use the sticky tab example here, sticky tab, and I'm going to make these ones yellow. And I'm going to say C. And notice since there's only one letter on there, those tiles, the letters are fairly large. I'm going to switch gears to be a scaffold for my kids, and I'm going to spell H-A. So if my young learners weren't quite sure how to spell the words, they could find related words there. Let me do B-A-T. And I could continue on with different colors. So I could go ahead and make my letter tiles. So here we go. And I can make a little pile here. And at this point, if I wanted, I could either spell the word or I could call on a friend. But you see how I have created this little pile of letters, and I can ask my students to do this @word activity where they could click and drag and build a word for me. Now, remember, if I want my students to do it with me synchronously, what I would do is oh, thanks, George. What I would do is share it to them in a way they can edit it. I could give them an editable link, or Google Classroom can help me with this too. Let's continue on though, and let's talk about a few other ways we might use Jamboard for early literacy. We're going to move to math next. Now, here's a great example. We're talking about long vowel I, and in English, I know that this says in, but in English, when I add that E, the sound of that vowel changes, and now it says pine. So I could do a variety of little phonics tasks. I can also do some text annotation. In this example, I have some text. This is text from my curriculum, but wherever you get text off the internet that belongs to you, that you're allowed to use, I took a screenshot, ka-chink, and I just put it in here. Now, in the mobile version of Jamboard, I can actually pull text out of my Google Drive. I'm in the web-based version, but in the mobile version, there's an extra button on my toolbar that allows me to add things from my drive. I took a screenshot of this. I brought it in as a picture, but now I can use my highlighter tool. Let me go grab my highlighter tool, and I can choose the highlighter, and I'll make it yellow. And the instruction says, use the highlighter tool to mark the nouns, people, places, things. So I'm doing a lesson on nouns, and I might go through and mark the nouns, animals, doctor. So I could go through there, but now I could ask a friend as I go along. I might ask a friend to do some additional ones. So if I wanted, if I'm teaching a lesson, maybe I model a couple, but then I could call on a student to do some. But this is where teachers start asking, well, what if I want them to do their own version of this? I want them to annotate their own text. That's where Google Classroom comes into play. In Google Classroom, remember, I could take my Jamboard, I could take just a single page like this and distribute it to each learners using that make a copy for each student feature. So here I have early literacy. We're locating parts of speech within the text. So different ways I can use it. I could do it as letter cards. I could use it as straight writing. I could use it for text annotation. Man, so many options. Same thing here. Maybe we're looking for examples of dialogue. We have students highlight the things within the quotation marks that show when someone's speaking. I continue on, and this will be the last literacy example, but I want to talk about this one. And if my friends who are playing along would like to participate, I would love for it there. It says, what do you see? Use the pen or sticky notes to describe this picture. So when we have young learners, we know one of the most important things is for them to develop their language. And whether that's English or Spanish or both, we want to make sure that they are using nice, rich sentences. Some kids might say something as simple as soccer ball. They identified a single word there. But I might ask them to write a nice, rich, complete sentence. I might say, can you write a nice, thorough sentence with as many details as possible? And someone who's just developing in language might say they are playing soccer or football, right? No social distancing. That's what I see too. Absolutely. And someone could say, the boys and girls are chasing the ball across the grassy field, right? I could see the boys and girls are chasing the ball across the grassy field. So as students start adding their sentences, they could keep it simple. They are playing. Or we can model how they could write nice, rich sentences using the sticky tab. They are wearing shorts, right? Absolutely. You know, we could develop our sentences, and we could do it either on their own. Oh, the boys and girls are chasing the ball across the grassy field. Thanks, George, for putting my sentence in there for me. So we could use that. I'm like, oh, that's a great one. And we could continue there, right? So we can have kids work collaboratively, synchronously, or we could use this asynchronously. I can put this into Google Classroom where students could write their own example. So Jamboard, we've been talking about Jamboard for literacy. And I'll pause again, Dominique, if you don't mind, before we jump over to the numbers. Does anyone else have some questions here, Dominique, that have come in that I can help with?
Yeah, there's actually a comment here again from Ana Luisa just saying she was just thinking, is there a way that she could use Screencastify to give instructions to the little ones about the activities she wants them to do in Jamboard? Because if you're sharing it in Classroom, it's important that they still see you.
Yeah. So one thing about Jamboard is, like, yes, you can make a Screencastify. I think that's a great idea to record a screencast, much like we're recording this right now, to demo this and show the different features. One thing I cannot do is put that screencast into Jamboard. Jamboard does have limitations when it comes to video and audio. You know, a lot of times these are great activities, but some of those extra features like video, audio, how do I change the font? How do I lock the background down? Those are really common questions. They're just not offered yet here in Jamboard. And I think I'm okay with that, because every time we add some of those additional features, that adds more buttons. And when I'm thinking about young learners, I like to keep it simple. Those kinds of things we're talking about, we can still do in slides. Slides allows me to embed an audio instruction. Slides allows me to embed video instructions. In Jamboard, what you could do in that situation is you can make that great little screencast to explain this to them. And in Google Classroom, I would just connect the screencast in the same assignment so they can first watch you talking about it, modeling it, and explaining it. And then they could click on the link for the Jamboard and go do their part in there. So you can definitely make that screencast. One thing we can't do, unfortunately, is embed it into this Jamboard. But that's okay. Remember, we're keeping this thing simple and clean as easy. So any other questions before we continue on to math or numeracy?
Nope. That was all for now.
Awesome. Let's continue on. I'm going to go up to my top here. Remember, that's where my frames are. I can see that I am on frame 10 of 19. And I'm going to click that menu because it shows me where we are. And I see that Ruthie is already over on the next page waiting for us, ready to do the next activity. So I'll jump over there. Now, if at any time I wanted to add another page, I can hit this plus sign and it would throw a blank page in the middle. And if I wanted to reorganize my pages, up here across the frames menu, I can grab a frame and I can move it to other places. So this frames menu is interactive because I can drag and drop, and I can use that plus sign. So let's get on over to this math one here, though, and I see some number tiles. I have number tiles here, and I can do some basic things. I see Ruthie's there. She's helping us out. She's going to go ahead and put these in order from least to greatest. So I have in this example where they're counting numbers from least to greatest, and I might have the students put them in order from littlest to biggest, and she could sort these for us in order. Additionally, we might be doing some kind of patterns, like in the other pile, I see counting by tens, but I could also do counting by twos or by fives. So I can put numbers in order, or I might be able to write a list, and I might leave some blanks where students have to write what comes next or what's next in the pattern. So in all these examples, I can have students sequence and sort numbers just to help develop that number sense. So in this example, just so you see, we use the sticky notes, and we see that Ruthie likes things to be in line. I love it. Oh, and George showed us that he can insert an image too. He used his Bitmoji to drop it in to give the feedback. Good job, Ruthie, right? Awesome job. I'm going to continue on to the next frame and just show some examples here. This says building patterns. So in this one, I might have a student build like an AABB pattern or an ABAB. That's something we work on in pre-K or in K. We talk about building patterns and repeating patterns so students start recognizing that. So my students could grab one of these and they can come through and build an AB, whatever pattern I ask them to do, to start looking for connections. Or maybe I want them to do ABB, and I can talk about the different types of patterning we might do with these. And in this example, you notice that the background's different. I can change the background with some limited options. When I click on the background option, it does show me I have some basic options. I can make different colors, or I can add some dots or lines. Not a lot of choices, but one thing that we found is that we could actually take a screenshot of something and put it as the bottom layer. Now, you can't lock it like you do in slides, but we could take a screenshot of something to make a different background there. But students could delete that, just like a lot of the other things here. I'll continue on here, and I see this next one because this is one of my favorite things. And I actually learned this from our friend George here about how to put emoji in and use that in a transparent way. So you see here, I have all these cute little stars, but the truth is these stars are not images. They are emoji on a transparent sticky tab. What are you talking about, Susan? I'm going to insert the other part. So I need an AABB pattern, but in order to have that, I need a second item. So I'm going to come over to my sticky tab. Remember, all of my tools in Jamboard are over here on the sticky tab. So when I click the sticky, I'm going to use my emoji menu. Now, depending on what device you're on, this could look different. On my device, I'm on a MacBook. I use my two-finger touch like this, or my right click, depending on if I have a mouse or if I'm on a PC. If you're on a Chromebook, emoji menus look even different. But most devices have some option, or there are websites that allow you to get emoji. So I'm going to use mine, and I see right away on mine that one of my choices is emoji. So I'm going to choose my emoji menu, and I'm going to grab one of my emoji and drop it in there. So my pattern is now going to be hearts and stars. So when I zoom back out, I'll make sure I make this one transparent, because if I hit save, watch what happens. Now I have the heart on a green thing, and I don't know if I love that so much, but I can ... edit this, and I can make this transparent. Okay, so that was a lot of steps. I don't want to have to do that over and over again. I can duplicate this once I format it. So maybe I want to make it bigger or smaller, so I get it exactly how I want it to be. And then I can either ... One of my choices there is duplicate, but that's still more clicks. I use the keyboard command Control-D or Command-D if you're on a Mac, because what that does is allow me to put a whole bunch of them all at once, D, and now I have a lot of them, and so I can make the pile here of hearts, and my friends could do that. Thanks, George, for that help. Appreciate that. Awesome. So he can do his pattern with his images too. Or is that Ruthie? Was that Ruthie? Oh, Ruthie is the one doing the pictures. Thanks. Awesome. So she realized that she didn't have what she needed, so she went ahead and made her own manipulatives by bringing in that picture. So cool. All right, let's continue on. We started making patterns. What other mathy things might we do with this? Well, on the next page, on frame here, this is a screenshot, and this one is not interactive. This is an example of where I took an example, but you can see that I combined a few things here. I use the tool or the website called Which One Doesn't Belong. And if you're not familiar with Which One Doesn't Belong, it's called WODB, Which One Doesn't Belong.ca, right? So WODB.ca is how I brought in that background image. And I asked the question of the students, which one do you think doesn't belong? And so they're supposed to look at all 4 of those images there. And I see there's one that's pink, there's one that has 3. And the students were supposed to make a decision about which one they felt doesn't belong. They grabbed the check mark and slid it to the one they voted for. I see that a lot of them voted for the one in the upper right-hand corner where they said that that one didn't belong because there were 3 and the rest have 2. And then we had them use the sticky tab feature to tell why. Because it's one thing for them to vote for which one they think doesn't belong, but more importantly, I want to know why they chose this one. The one in the top left doesn't belong because it's pink. It's a different color. The one in the bottom doesn't. So, and you can see that there's no right or wrong answer here, but the idea is that students look to see that there could be more than one answer to a problem. So when we're talking about building some of that early number sense and early numeracy, getting students to understand that there sometimes is more than one right answer is really, really useful. So I'm here on this frame. I'm going to continue on to the next frame. When I go to my next frame, you'll see that I have some base 10 blocks. So when I use base 10 blocks, I can continue to build that numeracy by having some drag and drop manipulatives. Now that our students are at home and they're not in class with us, we don't have the same boxes of manipulatives we haven't always had. And we don't know what class is going to look like when we get back in the future. But I do think that things like manipulatives, these hands-on materials, I don't know if we're going to be letting kids touch these as often for a while, right? That's kind of the world we're in right now. So we want to be very aware of contact. So these manipulatives that I might have in boxes in my classroom, can I find a way to reenact that virtually? So Ruthie can build a number for us. Like I might tell Ruthie to build 234, and Ruthie would then be able to take those things and she could build the number 234 by dragging and dropping the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. So I got these images from various different ones. These images for me came from the website, the Math Learning Center, and I did screenshots that brought these in for me. So I see it looks like Ruthie's building the number now. So she has 2 hundreds, 3 tens, and 4 ones, and that made 234. And I could even ask the student to go get a sticky note at this point, and maybe I could have her label using a sticky note the number 234. So when she gets done making them nice and neat and orderly, she could go use the sticky tab, and I could ask her to write it as a number 234. So maybe she'd get a sticky tab and write 234 using that sticky tab, or she might even continue on and write the word, because when we're talking about young learners, oh, she's going to do it. You're going to do 200 plus 30 plus 4. That would be fabulous. Oh, look at this. So we could have them break it down into expanded form or expanded notation where they 200 plus 30 plus 4, or she might write 234 as a word, all the different ways, or all of the ways all together. We could have 200s, 3 tens, all the different ways that we could have them label and show the number they built to help continue developing that number sense. 200s, 3 tens, 4 ones. Awesome, Ruthie. And again, we could do it as a word. We could do it as just the digits. We could do it a number of ways to help interact. So we could have these things. And again, digital manipulatives, I think, are going to be a big deal no matter what school looks like in the fall, because touching manipulatives, I love having that hands-on practice, but we do know that cleaning and sanitation are going to become a real issue when we go back to school. So even whether we're doing it right now virtually, again, Ruthie's in Canada and I'm in California, and we're able to work on this together. So how cool is this? Wherever your learners are, we can interact. I'm going to continue on. I have just a simple, again, math modeling. I wanted to give them a problem, have them model 6 plus 2. I want to show one more math thing here. Remember, I can add a page. So when I want to add a frame or a page, I go back up to my menu because I want to show how I can model with math problems. Oop, it might have too many pages. I'm going to have to delete one to make this happen. Let me delete this one. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one here and add another page, because I'm going to use this page 17 right now. to model myself just writing a math problem. Remember how we talked about how we want to be able to show math and I want to be able to talk about math? Well, on a blank page like this, I can use my device, whether that's my phone or I have a small iPad and a stylus. I really love using a stylus. It makes it easier than trying to write with your finger, but all of these things work. I can model a math problem right now. So I'm going to change my pen tool and get a nice pen. And now I'm going to write something like 9 and 2. So I could be modeling my math problem here, but if I really want to go through the steps with students, we know in like first grade especially, we're trying to teach kids how to make tens. So I know that 2 is really 1 and 1 because I want to notice that I just made a 10. So here I can circle this. Ooh, I made a 10. We love making tens. We love making those friendly numbers. And now I can have that 10 and 1 makes, my answer. And my answer is 11. So here I go. I can say 11. So lots of ways to model with math, but that's a lot easier than me trying to do it on a whiteboard. Oh my gosh, so many ideas, so much potential. I do love Jamboard, but I do love this idea too. Our little learners can do so much if we give them the tools and let them try. Sometimes as teachers, we're afraid to let them push all the buttons or try the things. They're going to delete it. They're going to ruin it. You know what? Let's give them a chance because they can. K2 can too, right? They can do a lot more. And sometimes just letting them try, letting them scribble, letting them drag and drop, they can do so much. So once again, this is Jamboard. And if you want to learn more about Jamboard, if you're not familiar with the Google Teacher Center, the Google Teacher Center has trainings on this, right? There's trainings that walk you through all the steps. So the Google Teacher Center has some trainings where you can learn more about Jamboard. And this is me, Susan Stewart. You can find me on Twitter at TechCoachSusan. And my website where I have a presentation on Jamboard and more is available at primarily.google.rocks. Thank you so much for listening today, especially huge thanks to Ruthie and George and Dominique and everyone who's been able to play here. Muchas gracias para todos los, ¿cómo se dice? Educators.
Educadores.
Maestros y maestros, right? Teachers.
Maestros too.
This is such a great tool. Thank you so much for having me. Any more questions that I missed there? I see that George and Ruthie, man, these two, it's a dream team to be a part of some of the work that we're doing. I told them we were just doing another workshop. I said, hey, I'm going to go hang out in Mexico now. I just came from Canada to Mexico. Do you want to, and all across Latin America, you guys want, and they just coming in and decided to help. I love having this team of helpers. It's been a great time to just see how many people are sharing and having just great ideas for their learners.
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. We have people like Felipe saying, wow, this is very interesting. Thank you. Maria was asking if we could do this in Spanish. So I was telling her that maybe next week we'll get someone to do this in Spanish. In fact, once we finish up here, we still have a few minutes, so I can show a few things in Spanish. But I think that's great. And then Ruthie, yeah, she was answering, just talking about mats as backgrounds to work with as well.
So if we have people stick around for just a minute, what I'm going to do is the thing I promised about getting a, what's it called? I'm going to, hopefully, I don't know what's going on here. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to drop a link into that chat. I'll take a couple more questions where people can make a copy of this very one. So if they want,
that would be awesome.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, I took it off the screen, so
awesome.
You aren't seeing it.
Okay, and so now I am going to grab this. And so, yeah, any other questions? Or Dominique, have you had much experience with Jamboard before now?
You know what? I honestly hadn't, Susan, until I've started using it with some of my schools now with distance learning.
Yeah,
yeah, and I've seen a few people present on it. I've seen Darren talk about it. George has talked about it. And so I'm just kind of gathering ideas from all the great minds that I know, and then using that with the schools here in Mexico. And I don't know if you can hear this or not, Susan, but something really funny happened while you were presenting. All of a sudden, there's a mariachi band outside my house, like a few doors down. But anyways, you can hear lots of mariachi music.
Okay, I'm going to go down to the chat. Can I have access to the chat? Where do I put it in?
Yeah, you in comments. Where you see comments. And if you can't find it, just share it with me, and then I'll put it in the chat for everybody.
Okay, I have the private chat. For some reason, I can't do that there. So I'm going to put a forced copy link. And if you're not familiar with this, you have to have a Google account. But when you do that, when you click on the forced copy link, what happens is it'll say, would you like to make a copy of this? And this one that we just created, you can have a copy of. And feel free to use and share. And my only thing is, if you make it better, send it back to me, right? Because I'd love to see what you do with this. So that link that Dominique is going to give you is going to be one that you can click on, right? And it'll make a copy of the one that we used today, just now. So we can go ahead and make a copy of this so that you could have the examples if you want. So that link there should do a copy, and then you can check it out. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you for being with us. And I just wanted to ask one more thing, Susan. The K2 Can2. So if people look for that hashtag on Twitter or on social media, that's where they can find more resources, right?
More of my sources or my website, primarily google.rocks. But what I love about K2 Can2 is that there are teachers from everywhere using this hashtag. And so it's not just me. It is a whole community of educators who have this belief in what young learners can do. So at the K2 Can2 hashtag, it was, they're able to do that. Let me make sure that worked. Is that link working for
Someone
anyone?
just said that the link wasn't opening for them. I'm going to try it as well, just to see. And if not, we can get it in a minute. It does work.
Okay.
Así que I'm going to explain in Spanish.
Okay.
Para abrir este enlace, el enlace que Susan nos compartió, como puede ver en su pantalla, tienes que hacer una copia de esta presentación. Así que todos van a tener sus propias copias de la misma presentación. Por eso parece una pantalla así. Okay, they said they got it now.
Awesome, fabulous, cool. Alrighty, guys. Thank you.
But thank you so much, Susan. We hope to see you again next week. We have 2 more weeks of elcolesigue. So
we'll have a lot of fun. Thank you so much, guys. See you soon.
Bye, Susan.
Bye.
Muy bien, pues ya van a estar conmigo por unos minutos más. Tal vez terminamos poquito antes hoy, pero quería repasar algo que nos estaba enseñando Susan. Así que voy a compartir mi pantalla también para que lo ven por ahí. Déjame si lo tengo. Muy bien. Y si tienen más preguntas, adelante, como puede ser de Jamboard o de otra cosa. Antes que empezó Mike, hace ratito les estaba enseñando cómo usar Toby for Chrome y cómo organizar tus páginas favoritas, tus sitios más como frecuentes, algo así. Pero aquí para que vean dónde está, si yo voy, por ejemplo, a mi Drive, quería enseñarles cómo crear un Jamboard en español rapidito, nada más para un repaso, porque las sesiones que hemos visto de Jamboard han sido como ya creados esas herramientas. Y en caso si tú estás ahí pensando, híjole, sí quiero usarlo, pero ¿cómo lo hago? ¿O cómo puedo empezar de cero? Si tal vez tus alumnos no son los chiquitos o si por X razón quieres saber cómo hacer uno, en tu Google Drive, aquí picando nuevo, a ver si me deja abrir. Ahí está. No sé si han notado este botón de más. Yo sé que yo he hablado de este botón más cuando estoy haciendo los formularios. Tuvimos una sesión de formularios hace unas semanas. Y aquí hay más cosas que uno puede hacer. Vimos una sesión de My Maps hace 3 semanas, creo. Hemos visto como sesiones de sitios de Google. Hice uno hace 2 semanas acerca de las nuevas plantillas. Así que como pueden ver, cada semana Google nos está dando más y más herramientas y más opciones. Así que Google Jamboard está aquí en su cuenta de la escuela, en nuevo, más, y aquí es Google Jamboard. Así que para empezar desde cero, si no habían visto cómo hacerlo, la herramienta sí está en español, como pueden ver en mi pantalla, dice Jam sin título, y es súper parecido a las otras herramientas, más que todo las presentaciones de Google, pero aquí fácilmente es donde puedes cambiar tu título y ya poner como Jam para, no sé, tal vez quinto grado, algo así. Lo que tú enseñas, puedes poner lo que sea. Y aquí adentro, como decía Susan, todos pueden crear su propio Jamboard. Tú puedes hacer sus propios ejemplos. Ella estaba haciendo esos ejemplos de literacy, como de lectura para niños chiquitos, nada, agregando letras y poniendo como, tal vez estás trabajando en algo como de letras minúsculas y mayúsculas, y ya así como sigues agregando y puedes poner varias letras ahí, y tal vez están haciendo patrones, como nos enseñó con las palabras o con las figuras. Algo aquí, a ver, lo voy a poner guardar. Puedes cambiar el color por ahí, lo cancelas. Eso es la nota adhesiva, como el post-it que nos estaba enseñando. Aquí es donde estaban poniendo imágenes. Cuando vieron las imágenes que surgieron ahí o como que aparecieron. Y lo que me encanta de cualquier cosa de Google, cuando queremos poner imágenes, hemos hablado de eso en otras ocasiones, pero ahí adentro tienes tu búsqueda de imágenes de Google y ahí puedes buscar lo que sea. Vi que estaban poniendo banderas y otras cosas así, o como esta foto de los niños jugando fútbol. Como tú puedes nada más buscar fútbol y ya te va a aparecer varias imágenes y desde ahí tú puedes poner uno y una actividad puede ser tan sencilla de poner la foto. Y si están en quinto grado, ya, de hecho, ya como más que las letras, eso sería más para chiquitos, pero con una foto podrías pedirles que ellos mismos hagan como un resumen de la foto. Y puede ser aquí y puede decir, no sé, están jugando fútbol en el atardecer o algo así. Como no tengo, seguramente, y hay errores, gracias a este spell check que siempre me ayuda con mis acentos en español, pero bueno, pueden poner un párrafo, algo más como profundo ahí con la imagen, pero está súper fácil de poder como agregar tus notas, poner tus imágenes. También vieron que tienes el láser, como si fueras en el salón usando uno de esos láseres que siempre nos molestaba tanto en los años pasados. Aquí también tienes el pluma. Y aquí es donde puedes cambiar como el tipo de pluma, el color, marcador, todo eso. Y aquí puedes borrar lo que sea. Y como decía Susan, aquí arriba puedes ver tus imágenes. Solo tengo una diapositiva ahorita, pero fácilmente puedo agregar uno. Y de ahí puedo irme como cambiando el orden de mi presentación. Pero algo que me encantó que dijo Susan, porque tuvimos una pregunta, si no me equivoco, era de Ana Luisa, que nos decía que cómo compartes eso con tus alumnos, si quieres trabajar de una manera asíncrona en lugar de trabajar en vivo. Así que eso súper fácilmente adentro de Google Classroom, vas ahí a tu cuenta de Google Classroom. Y perdón que estoy abriendo todo en vivo, no tenía nada aquí como preparado bien, nada más estoy como trabajando en vivo según lo que vimos, pero aquí en mi clase de aprendizaje a distancia, yo puedo poner, por ejemplo, trabajo en clase, yo voy aquí y si quiero, eso es, ¿sabes qué? Yo soy una alumna en esta clase, no soy la maestra, a ver si tengo una, muy bien, estoy en esa del elcolesigue. Aquí en trabajo en clase, crear, tarea. Y eso es donde decía que fácilmente tú puedes buscar de tu Google Drive este Jamboard que recién existe. Como es algo súper rápido, pero muy potente ahí. Obviamente no está terminado mi Jamboard, pero para enseñarles rápido, lo pongo ahí. Y lo que decía otra pregunta, otro comentario, si quieres que ellos están trabajando en eso, pero en sus propias copias, como al final Susan nos dio nuestras propias copias del Jamboard, aquí en Google Classroom puedes hacer una copia para cada alumno, así que ya no tienes broncas, no hay problemas, es súper fácil que todos tienen su copia, pueden trabajar en ello individualmente y te lo entregan tal cual, así que puedes ver realmente cómo están progresando cada alumno. Y en el caso, si no lo habían hecho antes, Con cada tarea en Google Classroom puedes agregar varias cosas. Así que puedes poner ahí tu video o tu vínculo a un screencast. Como Mike nos estaba enseñando de hacer este Screencastify, puedes poner tu video ahí diciendo, hola, ¿cómo están alumnos? En este Jamboard el día de hoy tienes que hacer X cosa. Y ahí vas dando las indicaciones y ya como pongas aquí Jamboard, pongas tus instrucciones y asignar. Obviamente eso es un ejemplo súper como breve, rápido, manera express, pero ya con eso puedes asignar tu Jamboard. Así que lo creas desde tu Google Drive para recordarles, Google Drive, nuevo, más, busca Jamboard. Ya de ahí puedes hacer lo que ustedes quieren, lo que más les sirve para tus alumnos y lo compartes en Google Classroom. Es lo ideal. Pero muy bien, voy a ver si hay algo de preguntas por aquí. Muy bien. Ok. Ahorita veo que hay una pregunta de algunas presentaciones. Ahorita le enseño. Nada más para recordarles, como estamos terminando el día de hoy, todo nuestro horario para esta semana y las 2 semanas que nos quedan está aquí en elcolesigue.tv. Y aquí tienes horarios y talleres. Y vi que Eliana, estabas preguntando dónde puedes ver la sesión de formularios de Google. Igual que tenemos aquí todos los horarios y talleres de lo que viene, también aquí en talleres previos tenemos todos los talleres que hemos dado en esas 6 semanas hasta la fecha y los puedes buscar ahí. O también como nivel A, como compañía, tenemos nuestro sitio o nuestro canal de YouTube. Así que también a través de este canal de YouTube, ahorita lo pongo en el chat, también pueden acceder a todos sus videos, los tutoriales, los ciento tantos sesiones del elcolesigue. Y aquí puedes buscarlo. Y están trabajando, de hecho, el equipo está como tardando en cargar. Pero están trabajando, de hecho, el equipo del Vives en esta página para ponerlos todo como con hashtags o como filtros para buscar exactamente algo. Mientras eso está cargando, te enseño también nuestro canal de YouTube es, ¿cómo se dice? yt.nive.l. Perdón, está tardando, como tengo mucho abierto a la vez en mis varias pantallas aquí. Muy bien. Pero en YouTube, en nuestro canal, también puedes encontrar tutoriales de 1000 cosas de las herramientas de Google, de cómo empezar con tu clase a distancia. Y aquí puedes ver, eso es lo que estamos viendo ahorita, del día 28. Y viendo abajo puedes ver la página principal con los videos populares o también puedes buscar, ¿dónde está? Videos, aquí, para ver como los videos, como cada video. Poco a poco estamos agregando todos los talleres o sesiones del elcolesigue con números para que vean uno por uno en lugar de ver 4 horas del día completo. Y también tenemos unas listas de reproducción y estamos siempre trabajando en mejorar eso para que busquen aquí el elcolesigue, sesiones individuales, videos que me gustan. Y tenemos varios de webinars, de Google Drive. De hecho, Eliana, tenemos una lista de reproducción, un playlist de formularios de Google y tal vez ahí mismo encuentras lo que estás buscando. Pero ya con eso vamos a estar terminando este día juntos. Así que muchas gracias por estar con nosotros. Yo voy a estar con ustedes mañana. Mañana tenemos a George Bárcenas, quien estuvo con nosotros en esta sesión de Susan. Y también a mí voy a estar presentando el día de mañana. Así que nos vemos todo mañana. Voy a poner un video y con eso ya nos vamos.